Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm EVM and this is the Kia EV6. Now we like Kias on the channel because they're full electric vehicles so far, the e-Niro, the Soul and the Hyundai Kona, which is basically the same car. They're very efficient. They pretty much give you the range the manufacturer states, and that's rare, but they are compromised cars. There's a petrol version and an electric version. So essentially they have to accommodate both. This is a ground-up EV, so in my head I'm thinking, if they can make something with a compromise that efficient, what's this going to be like? So in theory, it should be immensely efficient and spacious. However, it's not quite like that I've found over the last week of driving it. Right, let's have a look around this and then we'll take it for a spin and tell you what it's like on the road and what I've learned over the last week of driving it. This for me is a brilliant example of not playing it safe. I mean, look at it. It's not like anything else on the road. Take the Volkswagen ID4. That to me is a Euro box. Literally a box with a Volkswagen badge on the front on wheels. I'm not saying it's ugly, it's just safe and pretty bland. This is just off the charts, and I like that. I like the fact that Kia have done something different. I mean, look at the size of these arches. They're huge. Gives it a very aggressive look. The really narrow grille and the headlights, again, gives it a good aggressive look. This kind of snowplow front almost. It's a bit mad. Some people won't like it, but again, at least they've tried to do something different. This will not be mistaken for any other car on the road. So for me, big points on that one. This is one of those cars that when you see it in the flesh compared to on camera, you go, actually, this is a lot bigger than I thought it would be. I mean, to put it into context, it's only that much longer than the Model 3 and about 4 centimetres wider. So its actual footprint isn't as big as you think, but it appears to be huge. I mean, look at the size of this. It's almost a foot is this wheel arch in width. It gives it, again, that aggressive approach. It's, well, curves all over the place. I really like the way it curves in here at the bottom. You've got just a lot of real estate, don't get me wrong. It is tall, and I think that will put some people off. We'll come to the size later on. The door handles, not a big fan, I have to say. They've done the Tesla trick where you have to push it in there and then open it up. It just doesn't feel very solid, which is unusual for a Kia because they're usually pretty good. These, immense door entry, and I'll show you again later on. So it's definitely family oriented. It's a good practical example of a car done well. There's a lot of real estate in the middle, quite plain. And again, it's fairly standard at the rear, but then you get this mad kind of circular shape going all around the rear. This is like a pyramid effect. These are the indicators, which if I get the key out, I can sort of show you. It's a bit too bright, granted. That's unnecessary, and I like unnecessary. And I'm on the fence. I don't know if I like the rear end because it's so tall. Bear in mind I'm actually higher up here. If I come down here, you can see how tall it is compared to me. And I think this is, again, that massive bulbous rear that makes people think they're driving something much, much larger. Let's have a look if I can find it. You do get the mucky fingers when you put it in the rear, as a lot of cars suffer from. And it's a manual opening. We will get to why there's a microwave in the back later on. The boot, however, if I just take that off, decent size for a family, not the biggest in its class. Things like an ID4 I think is more practical. And there are hidden compartments. In fact, there's a hidden compartment within a hidden compartment. The charge point, if I just press that there, give me a second. Oh, for God's sake, how do you open it? There we go. I quite like this positioning actually. It's not vulnerable in the usual sort of low-speed shunt area, but it's very accessible. It's very easy to get to, and I prefer to reverse into a parking spot when I'm charging. So yeah, I quite like that. And of course, it's CCS. We'll get to the charging speeds and whatnot later on in the video. And if you press that button there, it shuts itself. Right then, let's have a look on the inside. We start off with the 2-spoke steering wheel, so that's pretty swish, if you will. Buttons, gloss black, so they're going to get fingerprints, but they feel very, very solid, well made. Let me turn the car on, which is this quite cool button down here. Nice and easy to reach. You get 2 screens. Annoyingly, the stereo turns on every single time you turn the car on, whether you left it that way or not. But yeah, the screen's really easy to see. We'll come to the interface and whatnot later on. This gives you all the data you want, various miles per kilowatt hour and whatnot. And if you press these buttons there, you can cycle through various other options that we're not going to go through right now. The door handle, again, the way it's integrated. Oh, open the door. Nice. I think that's good. Black gloss again, not a big fan personally, as you know. Buttons, very, very solid. Materials, I wouldn't say high-end, but not cheap either. It's kind of in the middle ground. Decent door bin as usual. The vents, nice and solid, not going anywhere. This material here, what do you think of that, Harry?
I think it's all right. It's sort of textured. It's not soft touch, is it? It's a bit,
no,
a bit of a
but it's not cheap.
hardware.
Again, it's in middle ground, isn't it? These are the touch buttons, so they are buttons, but they're not, for various functions on here. And as you can see, once it warms up, it is actually pretty fast, but it does take a minute or so to get going. And you do have actual controls for the volume and various other functions like that. So they've got most of it sorted out for me. I do like the fact that I can do things without having to use just a touch screen. In here, of course, you go from reverse and drive by twiddling the knob. Again, that's nice and easy to use. You press park there. It's a unique design because if you look under there, it's floating. You've got tons of storage that we're using for lots of equipment underneath. So it's like a floating console. It is quite impressive.
The only negative thing to this is the whole thing doesn't move forwards and backwards.
No, it doesn't. Now, if you lift that up, you've got a very, very deep storage area. So you're not wanting for storage or anything. And of course, you've got, if I just grab my water bottle now, nice, good cup holders, and you can take the middle out as well. Wireless phone charging, which again, it's in a nice position, and this stops it from falling out if you're exuberant in your driving style. Shall we have a look at the glove box?
Let's have a look. What do you reckon?
I think it's a proper one because it's a ground up EV.
Hey! So that's
it's
good
a huge
old size.
It's a massive glove box. So again, we're not lacking for storage and options here, are we? So overall, it's solid, but not high end. Would you class this as a premium interior?
I wouldn't know. It does remind me very much of the Skoda Enyaq in terms of where it sits.
In this storage area underneath the floating console, you've got 12 volt, you've got USB, you've got USB-C. Tons of connections.
They've thought about that.
Yep, and on the back of both seats, more USB-C for the people in the rear. I wouldn't call it premium either, but I certainly wouldn't call it cheap.
It's not out of place. It just sits exactly where I thought it would do.
It does, yeah. So expected is what I would call this. As always, this is in a position for, well, it's in its furthest back position, and I've still got tons and tons of space.
There's tons in there.
Flat floor, should I say. Not a huge amount of headroom.
No, but I think it's probably adequate.
Adequate then.
Yeah.
And middle rear bench, is this an adult size, do you think?
I think you would do, yeah. Look at that.
Just about.
Yeah, I think if you're over, you're going to be 6 foot and you're going to be touching the...
Yeah, you're going to be friendly with anybody in the middle.
You are, yeah. I think it's much better.
Yeah, 2 plus 2 almost.
Like
but you can for short journeys as always.
Is it a crossover?
Well, because we don't know what it is, we'll call it crossover. We'll call it crossover.
It's a hatchback crossover.
Yeah.
Thing.
At the moment, it meets expectations.
It does.
I don't think there's anything that puts me off, other than little niggles like the door handles and.
There's some, yeah, but it's not a decisive factor, is it, when you're purchasing this vehicle?
Aren't you getting a charger at home installed in the near future?
I am.
Now, wouldn't you want to know, if you were buying the EV6, which charger is most compatible and better suited?
Would it work with this car?
Well, you know what you need to do? Go to smarthomecharge.co.uk and they will basically, if you put the car that you want or have in, it will spew out a list of chargers that are perfect for that vehicle.
That's amazing.
If you want to compare on their massive database, you can put the car in and it'll give you all sorts of things like range, benefit in kind costs, lease comparisons.
That's amazing.
And
it's a one-stop shop.
Hang on. And charging times and costs for the vehicle that I didn't have to read about. Basically, it is a fantastic resource, joking aside, for people who are looking to get an EV. Yeah. smarthomecharge.co.uk.
And I am looking to get an EV as well.
You are, and I'm just making sure that I put everything down that's contractually obliged. Hang on. Have you even looked at the smarthomecharge.co.uk Trustpilot reviews?
I haven't, but I am doing now.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. That's absolutely... It's not doing it because we're not getting 4G.
Insert caption here. smarthomecharge.co.uk, keeping the channel alive. I'm not sure what this does.
No, that one.
Yeah.
Okay. In for the journey? Quagmire mode. Let's never talk about that ever again.
No. Now, I've been driving this most of the week, and you've obviously now driven it.
Yeah.
I still can't get a position that I'm comfortable with, and I can see the speedometer properly.
I always find that the top of the steering wheel blocks for speed.
Yeah, I mean, I can put this down, but then it's too high, and I put myself up, but then I can't see.
But then hang on.
It is really steeply raked, the windscreen, which is, I guess, not a bad thing. I'm not saying that as negative.
Well, the Mini has a similar sort of thing,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
it?
But this did actually happen to me because the sun's now out in North Yorkshire. Ow! I clattered myself in the face.
It's
because
rather
look at
strange,
this.
isn't it?
I am. So, yeah, it's a big car, and I feel like I'm driving a big car, but then I'm really squished up against the windscreen.
It's
really
an odd one.
weird. This isn't for me a car that is going to be driven fast, but they are producing a red hot version in a year or two that's going to be like performance level, Model 3 or Model Y performance levels one. So I'm looking forward to that. But
I don't know. It doesn't egg me on.
No.
I think the size of the car, it doesn't really want you to drive quickly. It will drive fast.
Yeah.
You can make good pace in it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Everything in the boot that's not tied down.
But it doesn't necessarily want you to go quickly.
No.
It's more at home at just dawdling by, isn't it?
Well judged in terms of the power you have. Bear in mind, this is the all-wheel drive version, of course. So it's
not
going to have
too
more
much,
power.
not too little.
Yeah.
Just right, isn't it?
Just right. You know what? It's Goldilocks. Now, we're on twisty, relatively narrow country roads. And even though this is only 4 centimetres, and that's the width of the car, not the wing mirrors, wider than the Model 3 that obviously I'm used to, it feels a lot bigger than that. I mean, it doesn't sound a lot, 2 centimetres either side, but when I
I've
was
been told
reversed,
it does make quite a difference.
do you think girth is more important than length?
I've been told that.
2.2 tonnes near us, damn it.
Wow.
For the one we're in now, and that's almost Polestar levels, Polestar 2.
It is, yeah.
So have they fallen down the rabbit hole of it's not as efficient, and we'll come to that in a second, it's not as efficient as we want it to be in terms of range, so let's put more batteries in.
I think probably they have, haven't they? I mean, we've driving the Nero, that was one of my all-time favourite EVs.
Still is.
Yeah. I had high hopes for this in terms of its range.
Yeah, and efficiency, just like we said at the beginning. This should be more efficient, or at least than an e-Nero.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's like if you bring out, I don't know, petrol engines. They don't bring a new generation of petrol engines out that are less efficient.
yeah, I mean, let's talk about that efficiency. So I've been using on the usual routes that I used, 3 months ago on the e-Nero.
Yeah.
In the e-Nero, it was a lot colder, and I was getting 4 to 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. In this, same roads, barely using the heater because as you see it's sunny, 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour. That's not bad given comparisons against like the Mach-E. It's just in my head I thought it'd be better. So this at the moment only comes with one battery size, 77 kilowatt hours. Yet the 64 kilowatt hour e-Nero goes further.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, like you say, they've gone for comfort, size, a bit of luxury over efficiency. I like efficiency.
I probably still would have the e-Nero
But
over this. Well, you can save the money.
Yeah, if you don't need the size, I guess.
If it was one or the other.
Now, the price is, for me, very much in its favour when you look at its competitors.
Yeah.
42 grand this starts at in terms of list price. They're all the same battery size. So it goes from 42 to, I think, 53, 54.
It's probably going to be worth getting a low-end one to
Yeah.
make the best value out of it.
Rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. That obviously affects the price. But I think this car with that battery size, even a lower spec, 42 grand, that's £3,000 cheaper than the Model 3 Standard Range Plus. So here's a question for you. A roughly 50 kilowatt hour Standard Range Plus Tesla Model 3, or this, and you're saving £3,000.
Do you know, I'm probably going to go for the Tesla again just because of the charge network. You don't need as big a battery if you've got a reliable charge network.
That is true. All right, if we take the charge network out of it, purely as a car.
This is too big for me. If you wanted to get a Q5 and that's the sort of car you're after, this is probably going to appeal to you as well.
I would go for this over... In fact, let's play a... everything in the boot's flying around. Let's play Would You Rather.
Whoa.
Mustang Mach-E or this?
This?
100%.
I think I'd either have COVID than a Mustang Mach-E.
Wow. ID4 or this?
This?
even though you could probably get that slightly cheaper.
Yeah,
At the same price bracket, this is a massive step. Look at the interior compared to that.
Yeah.
So, the Model Y or this, because that's more comparable
Model Y.
than the 3. So you go for the Model Y.
Yeah.
Okay, now the big one. Its sister, the Ioniq 5.
I do prefer the Ioniq 5 in terms of
In looks and that.
looks, yeah, and the interior as well, where this moves backwards and forwards.
Yeah. Charging is definitely something that it excels at, doesn't it? Because it does 400 volt and 800 volt.
Wow.
So essentially, you've got Porsche Taycan levels of charging speeds. So on a Ionity charger or something like that, you could probably push upwards of 300 kilowatts.
That'd be very, yeah, amazing,
so that is exactly what, for me, cars should be doing now. It's about charging speed more than capacity
as
of
it is
battery.
with broadband.
Yeah. Now, I would accept a smaller battery version of this because I can charge it so quickly.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, not many chargers support that at the moment, but it's built into it, so it's future-proofed. So they've got that bit right. Again, they know EVs,
yeah,
don't they?
Do, yes.
They're very good at EVs, are the South Korean brands. It's very quiet.
It is, yeah.
I mean,
it's just a tiny bit of road
super
noise.
quiet. The only thing I can hear is the microwave in the back.
Yeah, just rattling around. Yeah, there's a nice weight to the steering wheel. Nice lot of, well, it's a nice amount of grip as well from the tyres.
Have you noticed, though, that when you're driving this particular car, so it's not really criticism, that the steering wheel is slightly to the left when you're going straight?
It is a little bit disconcerting, isn't it? It's a cruiser.
Yeah, and it's a nice, quiet, comfortable...
Yeah.
What's the phrase?
Safe.
There is one thing we haven't mentioned.
What's that?
Which for me is a massive benefit of this and its sister, and a couple of others. It's getting more popular, but it's almost a reason in itself to buy this car.
I know what you think. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shall we give the ladies and gentlemen an example of what we mean?
I think we should.
Yes.
The best thing about this car, of course, is the vehicle to load adapter. It'll do 3.6 kilowatt output, and this means that you can turn the back of the Kia into a kitchen. It's amazing, isn't it? I think this is the best application ever in a car.
Is that a George Formby grill?
It is, yeah.
Wow.
When I'm cleaning chicken. Have we got a quick start?
Press start.
That is fantastic. So Kia, if you do get the car back and it does smell of chicken and beans, there you go, straight into the car.
Straight into the car.
And it is cooking, we actually are cooking chicken there.
Oh, and there's the adapter as well.
Yep.
So essentially, if you're camping, is this one of the best cars in the world, along with the other ones that do V12?
I think so, yeah. It's a game changer if you are camping.
You know what? We need this at Goodwood.
Kia, yeah. I think we could do a video out of this, couldn't we?
Just V12, benefits of.
Could we do a cooking channel?
You could rescue anyone that's run out of electricity in their cars.
You could be.
Because
That could
at
be.
3 kilowatts, that will essentially put probably, 20 minutes will give you another couple of miles
Yeah,
to get to
that's
where you
probably, exactly what you
need.
need,
So you
isn't
don't
it?
need RAC anymore if all cars
Had
do
this.
vehicle to grid. So be critical. What's your biggest criticism you could say over this? Because I haven't, I don't dislike it, but I haven't gelled either.
And I think that's it. I think that's my biggest criticism is I can't find anything that I really like, but I can't find anything that I really dislike as well. It's vanilla ice cream.
And sometimes people like vanilla ice cream.
Yeah. But without sprinkles.
What about the looks? I think
The looks I do really like.
It's like a bit of caramel sauce on that vanilla ice cream.
But from the outside, yeah, I do like the looks. It's got, like you said, it's got some mad angles going on.
But then
you
the
sit
rest
inside
of
it and
it's a car, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's it. It's another option.
Do you know what? It'll do.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but it'll do enough on a 42 to a 54 grand car?
This is it, isn't it? Do you know what? It's got all the ingredients. And if it was cooked by a Michelin chef...
Right, well, thank you to Smart Home Charge for sponsoring this channel.
Thank you very much.
And you're going to be having a look at that when you get back, of course.
I am.
Because you're looking into EVs.
I certainly am.
Which might be on a podcast of ours.
Could be.
We do podcasts. Again, we forgot to mention it.
We forgot to mention it. We do podcasts. Tune in. Is that how it works?
No, stream.
Stream, yeah.
ev-man.co.uk/podcasts. There's a link to every, iOS, Apple, same thing.
You can listen to it on everything.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.